Okay, so Susan, what do you think are some misconceptions about abandonment issues?
Oh, there are so many misconceptions about abandonment, trying to resolve one's abandonment issues. One is that it can be resolved through traditional psychotherapy methods. I mean, I'm a psychotherapist myself, so I use many of the traditional psychotherapy methods to help all kinds of different issues in people. But when it comes to the primal abandonment wound, which is at the heart of people's abandonment issues, it stems all the way back to the primal abandonment fear. When it comes to primal abandonment, traditional psychotherapy doesn't work because catharsis and insight don't get rid of it. I work with people, at all different levels of recovery from abandonment. A lot of them have extremely good awareness, and they have good emotional insight. They can tune in to their childhood abandonment issues. They can tune into their current adult abandonment scenarios where they're breaking up with someone, or they're insecure about someone, or they're alone because they can't seem to find someone. I work with people in all different situations, and when they tune into the childhood, abandonment scenarios, they can feel it, they can get emotional, and that doesn't mean that any of those feelings go away, because when they wake up the next day, they're, after all the crying and the catharsis and expressing and sharing, there it is again. All of that awful abandonment pain just comes right back. If they're alone, they're still alone. If they're in heartbreak, they still long and pine for the other person and feel so rejected and hurt and ashamed, really, which is one of the underlying feelings. So that's the biggest misconception, that if you just talk about it and cry enough about it and scream, and if you have a catharsis and a breakthrough, this term breakthrough, that you can get rid of it. It really doesn't go away because it doesn't consist of pus. It's not like a boil filled with pus. So you don't break it open and get rid of the pus, because it's primal. It's part of our anatomy. It's built into the human animal. It was awakened when we were born, the birth trauma. It's part of our conditioning that helps us hold on to our attachments and then feel anxious when our attachments break apart. That kind of conditions us to try to retain new attachments. It keeps us in a survival mode of being in relationships, procreating, sustaining our relationships, making new relationships. So the idea of being anxious and being sort of punished by the apparatus of our brain when we lose an attachment through all that pain, that punishing pain, motivates us to do better next time, to find more appropriate people to attach to, perhaps, or to treat them better once we're attached to them. It motivates us. So it's not pus inside of a boil, it's primal. It's part of the survival of the human species. It's there. And some of us have more intense pain with it than others, depending on other traumatic experiences that we had in childhood, or the intensity of the relationships that have happened in adulthood. There are so many variables, but some of us really do struggle with it more than others. Another misconception is that you can think your way out of abandonment and shame. Shame is a very significant component. It's the defining component of abandonment, because when you feel someone has left you, or you feel insecure, or you're not able to form a relationship, there's shame that there's something fundamentally wrong with us, that we're not enough, that there's something terrible and awful rotting inside that somehow contaminates the field, that makes it impossible to form a relationship. So the idea that we can think our way out of shame, or think our way out of primal abandonment fear, that we can think our way out of heartbreak, we can think our way out of it, is just false. Nonetheless, people with these issues tend to be obsessive. They have obsessive thinking about it, always tick, tick, tick. The mind is always trying to figure it out. There's self-obsession and obsession with the other person. There's a lot of obsessive thinking around it, which is the mind trying to think its way out. But the thinking doesn't help, just as the insight doesn't help. What helps is doing. You have to do your way out of your abandonment issues. And doing is something that sort of goes against the whole tradition of psychoanalytic psychotherapy, which is all thinking and feeling and sharing and talking. But the doing is what actually does help. And what kind of things do you have to do? Well, that's where the program of abandonment recovery comes in.
Okay, so if people wanted to learn more about these exercises or these methods, where can they find it?
My website is abandonment.net, and many of them are mentioned there, but I have a workbook, Journey from the Abandonment Recovery Workbook, that spells the exercises out step by step.
Can they also have like one-on-one consultation with you?
I do on a limited basis. I do one-on-one consultations on a private basis, and I'm doing ongoing series of online workshops that are five sessions each, and they help walk people through the program, the exercise program.